Thanks so much. It's always challenging to get the microphone to reach high enough when you're 5'14". But this should work. So yeah, my name is Mariah Burton Nelson, and I use the pronouns we and us. And I'm going to use them today primarily to refer to the female athletes who are leading the movement for female-only sports and spaces. Oops. So that's us in the front of that image, and it's also us, the woman in the back. We are all different ages, all different capabilities, and we've been doing this for a very long time. I'm not literally speaking for all of us, of course, but I'm giving credit to my worldwide teammates and highlighting the fact that we are very engaged in a team effort. We are champion athletes, such as Martina Navratilova, Riley Gaines, Nancy Hogshead, who is here, Donna DeVerona, Donna Lopiano, Linda Blade, who spoke here 2 years ago, Sharon Davies, Chris Everett, Jen Say, who is here, Inga Thompson, and students and scholars and lawyers and lobbyists and writers and policy experts. And I want to add a shout out to Bev Talbot and Amanda Kovatanya and Lauren Legeri, all of whom are athletes as well. We are feminists, whether we use the word or not, because feminism is fundamentally about protecting the rights, privacy, and safety of women and girls. Feminism is a training ground. Sports is a training ground for feminists. When we say yes to sports, we say no to oppressive rules about how girls should behave. Through sports, we learn to stand our ground, to trust other women, and to win, all of which is coming in very handy. Today, I'll offer you 5 reasons we are winning so far in this contested struggle for female-only sports and spaces. And our success is linked to your success. So I hope to spark some ideas that might prove useful in your own work. First, a little about me and the slide I forgot to show you. Female athletes, we were born in the right bodies. It's an inherently empowering thing to do. So about me, so here's me, and I love that girl. That athletic, pre-lesbian, brave girl who was fully herself. Later, I studied at Stanford with the late, great psychologist Sandra Bem, who popularized the word androgyny. She shared her research on sex roles, as they were then called, which showed that people who do not restrict themselves to sex-stereotyped behavior or attire, instead choosing from the whole range of human possibilities, are mentally healthier than those who do. Naturally, I found that very validating. But now, some girls like me, as you well know, adopt the non-binary identity, and my heart breaks for them because they are alienated from their beautiful female bodies. But I also understand the appeal. They are feeling seen. As an athlete, I am best known for playing basketball at Stanford and professionally in 2 different leagues in the United States and the first women's pro league in this country. Thank you. Yeah, it kind of does sound impressive, but as you can see, the stands were empty. It's before my time, ahead of my time. And as a writer, I am best known for my book with the award-winning title, The Stronger Women Get, the More Men Love Football. Thank you. Now I write a weekly Substack called Stronger Women and work with the Women's Sports Policy Working Group, a think tank of champion athletes and Democrats, including Nancy Hogshead and Martina Navratilova and Donna De Verona and others. And our motto is female sports for females, respect for all. Okay, so I'm still an athlete, and my sports include, believe it or not, competitive cornhole. Laugh if you want. But there I am at the National Senior Games, and I won a silver medal. Thank you. And when Benjamin Boyce and I chatted recently, he insisted I give him a lesson. So I brought my beanbag. Let us know if you want to join us. And here's a personal story about sports that illustrates how categories make sports fair and inclusive. Last month, I competed in a 1-mile ocean swim on a very rough day in Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. So there you see the lineup. 53 of us altogether. And out of the 53 swimmers, I finished 40th. But I am 69 years old. And obviously, I am female. Thank you. So out of the swimmers in my category, I placed third. Thank you. Winning a bronze medal. So this is how sports categories make sports fair and inclusive. It compares you to the right people. Or it did make sports fair and inclusive until it was totally disrupted by males' insistence that they should be allowed to compete as women. All right, so as for how we are winning in our quest for female-only sports and spaces, here are 5 reasons. First, 1, we know on a visceral level the differences between women and men. We know that our bodies, with our hips and breasts and periods and pregnancies, were designed to gestate and give birth to and nurse babies, and to move, sprint, swim, dive, leap, hit, smack, spike, catch, throw, and kick butt. All of it. We know that male bodies are bigger and stronger. We learned this from playing backyard baseball, pickup basketball, and other sports with boys and men. We know that men are more aggressive. Men have invaded our sports and spaces before. We remember the men who molested us as we sat frozen in teenage confusion in the front seat of our beloved coach's car. We remember the men who, when we were innocently out running, tackled us, dragged us into the woods, and raped us. So when other men now want to pretend they're women, we recognize that they too are trying to gaslight us, drag us off course, and insert themselves. These men who feel like women, they're acting like men. And by that I mean the sexist variety of men. They're invoking male privilege to violate female boundaries. Here is my own Arlington, Virginia locker room, now ground zero for a battle between the U.S. Justice Department and 5 school districts in Northern Virginia. It's in the news yesterday in the New York Post, and it's been in the news a lot. It's a high school that shares its pool with community members, and as such, it allows high school boys and grown men to waltz into the women's locker room with all the girls and the women if they say the magic open sesame words, "I'm trans." Here is a man named Richard Cox who invaded our space, naked, masturbating in the shower. And when women objected, the staff responded by saying, "But he's trans." Eventually, he was arrested, but only because he's a registered sex offender, already with 30 previous offenses, and his trial is currently underway. 2, we have a head start in educating the public about sports and sex and fairness. As a result of our own advocacy over the years, the public now supports women's sports. Half of all girls now play sports in high school, and half of all parents, therefore, have made financial and emotional investments in their athletic daughters. We know now that male-female differences in sports are public and obvious. Here is Leah Thomas. Males have a 20% advantage in leaping. And I don't know who to credit for this marvelous meme. An 11% advantage in swimming and a 6-inch average advantage in height. Fortunately for us, parents, fans, and pretty much everyone understands the core concept of fairness in sports. Performance-enhancing drugs are not fair. Pretending to qualify for the Paralympics is not fair. And males in female sports, obviously not fair. That time I'm the one who circled the genitals, just in case you couldn't see them on your own. So 3, we stage protests, we lobby policymakers and politicians, we file lawsuits, we submit petitions, we write amicus briefs, we draft new laws and policies. Here's Martina. If there had been no female category when I was competing in tennis, you never would have heard of me or any female Olympians. Consider that for a minute. And 4, we tell our own stories. And while telling those stories, we center women. That's who we're talking about every chance we get, not the men, but the women. Here is Annalay Wilson, 14 years old, after she lost a junior Olympics race to a boy, explaining emotional blackmail to 500 adults. We were told that it will be our fault if a transgender athlete takes their life. Here's another middle schooler, Elena Resto, peering over a lectern at a school board meeting to explain to this California school board in a strong voice, sharing locker rooms between males and females can lead to discomfort, embarrassment, and a loss of dignity, especially for minors. I say no more. And here's the women's swimming team at Roanoke College, Virginia. When they learned that a man was planning to join their team, they complained to the college to no avail. Taking matters into their own hands, they told the man to step aside, and he did. Then they called a press conference holding hands. And 5th, we team up. So despite differences in race, class, age, nationality, sexual orientation, and politics, we collaborate. The Women's Sports Policy Working Group, ICONS, Women's Declaration International, Women's Liberation Front, Sex Matters, Fair Play for Women, the International Consortium for Female Sport, Independent Women's Forum, Concerned Women for America, HeCheated.org, SheWon.org, Women Are Real, Roar New York, and of course, Democrats for an Informed Approach to Gender, and Genspect. We team up with male and female scholars, too, and researchers and allies with trans experience, including Corey Cohn, who's here, and also with Renee Richards, who now says competing against the women when Renee was in his or her, depending on how you look at it, 40s, was wrong. Renee is in her 90s now and says, no, I shouldn't have done that. So we would welcome our old friends from the Women's Sports Foundation, the Feminist Majority Foundation, and the National Women's Law Center, all of whom bafflingly now prioritize males. That door remains open. So I mentioned that our success is linked to your success. Sport is a tilting domino, perhaps one could say the lead domino. And along with your work in medicine, law, psychology, families, detransitioners, and more, sport is toppling the dangerous myth that boys can magically become girls. We thank you for teaming up with us, many of you already, and we hope you team up with us more in the future. Trans activists themselves understand this domino effect and fear it. Here is Julia Serrano writing to his trans fans, warning them not to concede on sports. Characterizing trans girls, and by that he means boys, as boys in a sports context would lead one to characterize them as such in other contexts too. After all, if trans girls, boys, are really boys when they're playing sports, then they would also be considered boys in the bathroom and boys in medical offices and thus denied access to female hormones. Exactly. As for what we have accomplished so far, you know some of this. You know about the president's executive order keeping men out of women's sports. For Democrats like myself and the Women's Sports Policy Working Group, Trump is the strangest of all strange bedfellows, so to speak. We see him as a corrupt, alarming disgrace. But the women who wrote that order, the woman who wrote that order, May Mailman, is on our team. We know her. That language is our language. And these orders are helping us to succeed. For instance, when the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee recently announced that only females can compete in the female category, a huge victory, they explained that ensuring that women have a fair and safe competition environment was consistent with the executive order. And the NCAA did the same thing, referencing that order. We would rather have the sports leaders just plain do the right thing on their own volition without presidential pressure, but we'll take the wins. 27 US states have passed laws restricting female sports to females. At least 15 American lawsuits by female athletes are underway. 2 of them are heading for the Supreme Court this fall, and we expect rulings in our favor, which would be huge. As you know, the UK Supreme Court ruled that men cannot legally be women, which was huge. 21 US and world sport governing bodies, some of which we have worked with directly, now have female-only policies for all females of all ages, and that's up from 0, 21 compared to 0 just 5 years ago, when boys and men were allowed to compete as women based on surgeries first, and then just testosterone suppression, and then just their say-so. And public opinion continues to shift in our favor. According to the New York Times, 79% of Americans favor no males in female sports, including 69% of Democrats. Now, we're not finished, and they are fighting back. The International Olympic Committee still needs to exclude men from the female category and implement sex testing, which is a matter of a simple cheek swab. We need federal laws here and abroad. We need to win at the Supreme Court. We need to restore more than 600 records to their rightful female owners. But we have momentum on our side and a growing team. Here's my friend Nancy Hogshead, 3-time Olympic gold medal swimmer, Title IX attorney, longtime women's sports advocate, and CEO of Champion Women. How could they have imagined that female athletes would ever back down? We have been training for this all of our lives. And I'd be happy to entertain some questions if you have them or comments. Thank you. I forgot to mention that all of these drawings are mine. Thank you.
We have a question here.
Hi.
Yes.
Can you comment on 2 lawsuits that were dismissed just in the last week? Riley Gaines and others versus the NCAA. The NCAA was dropped from the lawsuit. The court said the suit against the universities could continue because they're public entities, but they said the NCAA is a private organization, so they were dropping them from the suit. And in the lovely state of Minnesota, 3 teen girls were suing the school district over the inclusion of Marissa Roethlisberger, who's a 6-foot-something male pitcher who's been throwing shutouts on the girls' softball team. That suit was just dismissed, and the reasons for that are a little fuzzier to me. Can you comment on those?
Nancy can, I'm sure. She's a lawyer. She's on top of this stuff. You want to grab a microphone somewhere or just come up here with me? You need a mic to be caught on tape, so yeah, here we go.
Hey, everybody. Hi. It's great up here.
Hi, Nance. Yes.
Such a good show.
Teammates.
So the NCAA case, who asked the question? Was it Glenna? So the NCAA case, some of it was dismissed, but other parts were still kept on. The NCAA is still a defendant on there. One of the main issues is whether or not the NCAA is subject to Title IX. We say that they should be. We're hoping that it gets resolved wherever, in the Supreme Court or wherever. But schools have ceded authority over to the NCAA for them to be able to make these decisions. So in court, we need to say that an institution can't say it's not our fault. We didn't do it. It's the NCAA. So we can't help it. So, and it's not just the gender issue. My God, I'm nervous. Okay. It's all the issues with the NCAA.
How about the state one? Do you want to comment on
that? The state one, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. It was the same way with race and abortion and, all the other issues. Like, we got to have really good attorneys in there and recognizing some of these issues. Like, I just had a really great conversation yesterday with, I guess, Stella was saying you don't call them detransition, or somebody who's in detransition now maybe, and that it's not just medical malpractice, that it can also be sexual abuse, that it can also be sexual coercion, that it's a power imbalance, that it's more, right? So you got to have attorneys who are smart enough to not to jump out of their own lane.
And so one of the phrases we use is persistence over time. So, and it comes back to what we learned in sports. You do lose quite often, actually, in sports, but then you keep going, and you keep getting better over time.
Could you please stand up if you have a question?
You mentioned cheek swab for testing, and I'm ignorant here. The gamete size production is really what needs to be the determinant factor, and for some reason I thought the cheek swab could catch the wrong people in the net of disorders of sexual development. Doesn't it detect chromosomal, and wouldn't that improperly catch some folks? How would that be handled?
Right. So the experts on this are Ross Tucker, Emma Hilton, a lot of great. So it's sex screening instead of sex testing. So the first step is I was cheek swabbed. Okay, so cheek swab in my day, everybody had it. The trans activists around 2000 did away with it. Kathy Devine, who I know many of you know, did amazing research showing women wanted it, but they did away with it anyway. So it's a screen because 99.9% of people will be either XX or XY or, but what you're testing for is do they have an active SRY gene? There are a few people that then will go on to a bit, instead of a testing, it's the screening for the next step. A really good policy that we were, oh, okay.
Go ahead.
A really good policy is from the National Scholastic Athletics Foundation.
And we're about to republish our updated model policy ourselves at Women's Sports Policy Working Group. So let us know if you want more specifics about any of this, including cheek swabs, screening versus testing, everything. I want to respect the time and close. Thanks, Nance.
All right.